In a world where despair often feels like the only option, there are stories that remind us that hope, however distant, is always worth reaching for. This is the story of a family that found hope in the most unexpected place, through a tweet, a billionaire, and the love of a parent who refused to give up. Join us as we explore how one desperate family turned to a figure many thought was beyond their reach, and how the world, once filled with uncertainty, was forever changed. Smith and Monica Parker lived in a modest home in Ann Arbor, Michigan, a home that smelled of fresh coffee and the warmth of their young family. Their lives were simple but full of love, centered around their 1-year-old son, Drake. Drake had brought joy into their lives from the moment he was born. His giggles echoed through the house, and his wife's bright eyes were always filled with curiosity. But over the past few months, that light had begun to fade. Their world was crumbling as Drake's health deteriorated at an alarming rate. The doctors at Michigan Medicine had no answers. They couldn't explain why Drake was fading so quickly. No treatments seemed to work, and his rare and aggressive illness seemed to have no cure. As a mother, Monica felt helpless watching her baby's energy slip away. Smith, a software engineer by trade, dove into every medical journal, every study he could find, hoping for a breakthrough, something, anything to save his son. But the doctor's words echoed in their minds. Take him home and make him comfortable. Monica and Smith were crushed. How could they say goodbye to their son? How could they accept that there was nothing more they could do? As the days grew darker, they found themselves grasping for a miracle. It was one of those sleepless nights, with the moon casting long shadows through their bedroom window, that Monica whispered quietly, "There has to be someone out there who can help us." Smith, exhausted from his tireless search for a solution, asked, "Who?" Monica hesitated. The name that came to her mind seemed ridiculous, even to her. She had never met him. He was a billionaire, a tech mogul, a man whose name was known across the world for his success in creating electric cars and rockets. But at that moment, the name felt like the only one that mattered. "Elon Musk," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Smith stared at her, trying to process her words. He thought it was crazy. Elon Musk? What could he possibly do? But Monica was desperate. Musk was known for solving impossible problems, pushing the boundaries of science and technology. What did they have to lose by asking? With a deep breath, Monica composed a tweet. It was simple, but it carried the weight of their entire world. "Our 1-year-old son, Drake, is dying of a rare illness. Doctors have given up. At Elon Musk, if there's any way you can help, we're begging you. Please." The tweet felt like a last-ditch effort, but as soon as she pressed send, a wave of emotions crashed over her. Hope, fear, and uncertainty all at once. Would Musk even see it? Would anyone? Hours passed, and nothing. No reply, no sign of acknowledgement. Monica's heart sank as doubt crept in. She refreshed her Twitter feed again and again, hoping for even the smallest response. It seemed so unlikely, but she couldn't shake the thought that maybe, just maybe, Musk might see it. But then, something unexpected began to happen. The tweet began to spread. It caught the attention of friends, then strangers. One by one, people rallied behind the family. Using the hashtag #SaveDrake, a wave of support surged through social media. The tweet started gaining traction. News outlets picked up the story, and soon Musk's name was trending alongside #SaveDrake. The world began to notice. Then, 2 nights later, when they had almost given up hope, a notification appeared on Monica's phone. It was a reply from none other than Elon Musk himself. "Looking into this, need more details, please email my team." Smith and Monica couldn't believe their eyes. Could this be real? Was this truly happening? After months of waiting and wondering, they finally had a chance, an actual opportunity. Without hesitation, Smith typed an email explaining Drake's condition in painstaking detail. He described the medical history, the treatments that had failed, the doctor's grim prognosis. Minutes later, they received a response. Musk's team was already making arrangements to help. This was more than just a glimmer of hope. It was the lifeline they had been desperately searching for. Soon the Parkers were on their way to a research facility, a place they never imagined they would set foot in. This wasn't just any hospital or clinic, it was a cutting-edge facility where the world's brightest minds worked to solve the impossible. Musk, through his companies and connections, had organized everything. The Parkers were flown to the facility, where they would meet with a team of scientists and doctors who believed that something could be done. Dr. Patel, the lead researcher, explained a revolutionary treatment involving nanotechnology. It was still experimental, but it held the promise of a cure. Tiny microscopic devices, smaller than a human cell, could be injected into Drake's body, where they would target and repair the damaged cells causing his illness. It was a process still in its infancy, but it was the best chance Drake had. The procedure, though simple in theory, was a monumental step. The nano devices were introduced into Drake's bloodstream through an IV, a process that took mere minutes, but could have world-changing implications. For the next 48 hours, Smith and Monica waited, unsure of what the future held. They watched their son, praying, hoping, wondering if this was truly the miracle they had been searching for. The silence in the sterile hospital room was almost unbearable. And then, just after dawn, it happened. Drake stirred. His tiny fingers, which had been limp just days before, began to curl around Monica's hand. His eyelids fluttered open, and there it was, a small, faint smile. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Tears filled Monica's eyes as the doctors confirmed that the nanotechnology was working. The impossible was happening. Their son was beginning to recover. In the days that followed, Drake's recovery became nothing short of miraculous. While the process wasn't immediate, and the road was filled with uncertainty, there were signs of progress that gave Smith and Monica hope. Drake was getting stronger. His tiny hands gripped his parents' fingers with increasing strength. His eyes, once dull, now sparkled with curiosity again. One sunny afternoon, something truly extraordinary happened. The Parkers took Drake to the park for the first time since his illness began. Wrapped in a cozy blanket, Drake sat in Monica's arms, staring in awe at the world around him. For a child who had spent so much of his life inside hospitals, this was a brand new experience. He reached out for a small ball that rolled toward him, his tiny fingers now strong enough to grasp it. Smith, overcome with emotion, handed the ball to him. Drake held it tightly, his grip firm. The Parkers exchanged a glance, silent tears falling from their eyes. "He's going to be okay," Monica whispered, barely able to believe the words herself. It was a simple act, but for them, it was everything. As Drake's health continued to improve, the world took notice. His recovery became a symbol of hope for countless families facing impossible odds. The Parkers' story inspired millions, and the ripple effects spread across the globe. More and more researchers and medical professionals began looking into nanotechnology as a viable treatment for other diseases. What had started as a plea for help from one family had sparked a global conversation about the future of medicine. Elon Musk himself pledged further funding to expand the research, making it accessible to others who could benefit from these groundbreaking treatments. It was an incredible turn of events that no one could have predicted. But for Smith and Monica, the lesson was simple. Hope isn't passive. Hope is an action. They had fought for their son's life with everything they had, and they had been given a second chance. It was a chance they would never take for granted. The Parkers' journey shows us that, even in the darkest of times, hope can shine through in the most unexpected ways. It reminds us that miracles are possible when we refuse to give up, and when we're willing to take a leap of faith, even when it seems impossible. If you've been inspired by Drake's story, don't forget to share it with others. And if you believe in the power of hope, resilience, and the unexpected, consider subscribing for more stories that remind us of what it truly means to be human. Together, we can keep the light of hope alive.